Yo, what is up, everybody? It's your boy Slim, aka Mr. Different. We're back with another video. Today, we're going to be looking at setting compressors and EQs to different type of sound sources, such as drums, 808s, and kick drum and snare drums. Mainly going to be working on the drums and the snare drum and kick drum, and just how to set it up and what you should go, and just some rules of thumbs behind setting them up. Now, in this video, I am not going to be showing you certain numbers to set your kick drums and stuff like that too, because all sounds are different and all music content is different as well. Depending on what kind of sound you want to go for will drastically change, the numbers or settings like that. So therefore, if I show you exactly what to put in, it's not going to work for every single sound source. And I see a lot of videos do that. They give you oh, put this in here, do that, and you're supposed to get a good result, and it doesn't work like that. And people get frustrated when they're like, why isn't it working? Because they're not teaching you actually how the plugins actually work. So I'm gonna teach you how the EQ works and how the compressor works and what you can do to set it up and get it working for any sound source that you so desire. So, and also remember, don't focus on what plugins I'm using. Yes, I'm using one stock plugin, one third party, but you can use any plugin. I get tired of people saying, where can I get that? How did I get that? How'd you get that? Look, don't worry about it. If you have a compressor, if you have an EQ, you can follow along with this video and do the exact same thing I'm doing. Don't worry about what other people got. Just worry about what you have at the moment. If you get the money saved up, you can buy the plugins, buy them. If you can't, then work with what you got and just do what you got to do to get the sound you want to get. So that's just a little disclaimer I want to put out there. And I know a lot of people ask me that question, but I just want to let you know, there you go. So with the being said, let's get to the video. So first off, let me just play the little section we're going to work on. I gotta. So we're gonna work on them three sounds right there. Pretty cool, huh? I know, right? All right. So first of all, we need to understand, the signal chain. Now, the signal chain will determine the sound you get. If your compressor first versus your EQ first, or whatever sounds you get, will ultimately affect the sound that you're gonna be receiving when you're doing when you're mixing. So my rule of thumb is I like to use my compressor first and then my EQ. But if you want to use your EQ first, you can. It's perfectly fine. It's music. It's suggestive. Don't listen to people telling you, oh, put it this way or you won't get it. If somebody tell you to put it a certain way, they're wrong. They don't know what they're talking about, and you need to stop making videos. Point blank, period. Because music is suggestive. What sounds good to you sounds good to you. The things I do, you're not going to do in your mixes. And it's going to give me a completely different sound. If we get the same result, but in different ways, it doesn't matter. They're the same result. That's all that matters. So if somebody tell you had to do it a certain way, they're wrong. Stop listening to them, unsubscribe, dislike their video, move on to somebody, come to my channel, and learn how to do stuff the proper way. That being said, let's move on. I'm over here ranting. So I like to use my EQ first. That's what I like to do. You ain't got to do that. You got your EQ second. Or you can EQ, your compressor first or your compressor second, whatever. It don't matter. I'm going to use the compressor first in this matter because that's the way I want to do it. And that's the way I'm going to do it. Point blank, period. So you can do it that way or you can do it the opposite way. Either way works. That's all that matters. All right, so let's talk about the compressor real quick. You have mainly four main functions in every compressor, no matter what it is that you need to know about. First off is a threshold. Threshold is basically when the compressor starts to activate. So the lower the threshold, which would mean it goes from negative to positive, so lower meaning negative, the lower the number is, the more compression you're going to be introducing into your sound source. The higher the compression, the less compression you're going to be doing, the less threshold. So if I have a threshold all the way down here, you can get a lot of compression versus having it to zero where you get no compression, pretty much. That's what it is. And before I say that, what is a compressor? A compressor is basically a automatic gain rider, pretty much. So basically, picture this fader is my compressor. When it gets to a certain level, pretty much the compressor will just yank it down, however many dB that you set it to, and then go back up. And you get to adjust how fast and how slow it goes back up and goes back down. That's all the compressor is doing. Instead of you doing it manually, it does it automatically. That's what a compressor is, and that's how it was designed. That's what it was designed for. So people won't have to do that during live shows and stuff like that. If you want, that's just a little history tip for you based off compressors. Next up is the ratio. The ratio is basically going to be, the ratio means for every 1 dB, you get X amount of dB of gain reduction. So a 4-to-1 ratio would be for every 1 dB, you get 4 dB of gain reduction. Makes sense? 2-to-1, 1 dB of gain. 4 dB or 2 dB of gain reduction, and vice versa. Until you get to like 10 and up, then you're basically introducing limiting. And that's what limiters are. They're compressors with, I think, like very fast attacks and very slow release, something like that, but they have a super high ratio. That's all a limiter is. So you can actually turn a compressor into a limiter. Pretty cool, huh? The attack is how fast the compressor starts to activate. So a faster attack, meaning a lower number, meaning the compressor will act instantly, versus a slower number, meaning the compressor will compress slower. Pretty simple, right? And then release is the same thing, but backwards, meaning a faster release, meaning the compressor will release faster, versus a slower, meaning it will release slower. Pretty much, I got tongue twisted there. Had to think. So the attack and release are going to be your two most powerful, really going to be the main focus. They're going to determine the sound that you're going to get. A fast attack versus a fast attack, slow release can have a different sound than a slow attack, fast release, something like that. So depending on how you do it, you're going to get different sounds. So if I set it like this, I'm going to get a different sound when I do this, get a different sound when I do this, and then get a different sound when I do this. So they're all going to have different sounds depending on how you set it. So remember that. Attack and release is really going to be where you get the sound that you're trying to get. And that's how you get to shape your sound. All right, and then you got your makeup gain, which your makeup gain is basically if you got 4 dB of gain reduction, you need to add back 4 dB because you lost 4 dB. Pretty simple, huh? Very simple. Can I make this a little bit smaller? It's supposed to be a way to make it smaller. Small. I guess as small as it'll go. I wanted like the minimalistic view or whatever. Anyway. All right. So let's get into actually. There we go. There we go. That's what I want to look like a simple compressor. All right. So now let's set the compressor. We'll start with the kick drum. So first of all, I'm gonna introduce some compression. And then I'm going to determine my ratio. So I'm going to bring it down so I can hear the compressor actually activate. I don't care how much you got going in. Just make it to where you can hear the compressor going in. So I'm going to do let's see what a 2-to-1 sound like. Let's see what a 5-to-1 sound like. Okay, it sounds 2 compressed. Let's say 3-to-1. 3-to-1 sounds like good. All right, so that's how I set my compressor. How I set my ratio. I bring down the threshold. And then I set my ratio and listen to how it's sounding and how the sound is being shaped with the compressor. Like I said, using compressors is a listening game. You can't visualize, you can't look at numbers and waveforms and all this graph stuff. You have to listen in order to set it. Next, I'm going to turn my attack all the way up and my release all the way up. And then I'm going to play up my attack first. I'm going to bring my attack down and listen to what it's doing to the sound. As you see, the faster I go, the more punchy it sounds, the more snappier it sounds. Versus slow doesn't sound as snappy. So I want to get kind of a punchy kick drum. Let's go about 15 milliseconds. Now I'm going to bring down the release until I start hearing distortion. Once I hear distortion, I'm going to back off of it. And you'll hear it instantly once I go too far. Let's go. Hear that distortion? We don't want that. So we're going to do about 120. And that's how I set my ratio, attack, and release. Now I got to set my threshold. I'm going to try to get about 6 dB of gain reduction. That's my target, 6 dB. You can get more, you can get less. However, but you just set your threshold and get the amount of gain reduction that you want. And I said more compression will be, a different sound compared to less. Okay, so we got about negative 5.8, so that's close enough to 6. Now I want to check my gain reduction. So we have the wet gain, so dry gain. We're going to give me some dB back because let's listen to it, the before and after. Cool. So I'm just going to give me a little bit of gain output back. So let's get about 2 dB back. You can bypass it. Okay, now remember when you're setting your, like I said, I gave myself some, I didn't give myself completely 6 dB, but because I want to set to where I can hear when I switch back and forth, they're relatively the same volume, and I can actually just hear the actual changes. Now, like I said, you can give yourself back the amount of gain, the amount of dB that you gain reduced, or do it like I just did, and do it to where I can just hear the difference in tone. Because like I said, I'm using my compressor as a tone shaper type of thing to where I'm, getting a sound that I want. Not to make it louder, not to make it better, but to make it sound the way I want to. So if I go back and forth, I'll be able to hear the difference between compressed and uncompressed. I'm going to bypass and unbypass so you can actually hear. It just sounds a little bit more snappier, a little bit more faster. Sounds good to me. Very simple. And then it's under control too. So it's not distorting, it's not clipping no more. It's just right. And then actually it's clipping now because I don't the beat's not even mixed yet, so that's why it's making that kind of noise. But you can hear the difference. Pretty cool, huh? Very simple, very easy, great way to set your compressor. Now we're gonna go to the EQ, which is right here. Now the EQ, like I said, what I use the EQ for is to enhance certain frequencies and get rid of others that I don't want. So that's how I use EQ. EQ is basically, cutting and boosting certain frequencies to get the sound you want. So if you have some bad frequencies in this range, you might want to cut it. If you want to enhance a range, like say I want to add more bottom to it, I might, boost up the low end. That's it. But you have to listen to it. I can't say, hey, boost 4 dB at 250 hertz and you'll get no, I can't do that because it don't work for every sound. You have to listen. And that's one thing I try to teach people is, don't listen to people telling you do this, do that, because it's not going to work every time. Trust me, I've been down that road trying to prevent y'all from doing it. So we're just going to enhance this a little bit. I'm kind of going to clean up the low end, kind of get rid of some of the highs, because I don't really like highs in my kick drums. And I'm just going to bring up some of that body of it. So first off, I'm going to start off with a high pass filter, high cut or low pass filter. So we're gonna find, there it is, the low pass filter. We're gonna make it to where it's okay. I want to make it kind of sharper. There we go. I got all kind of filters. I like that. And then I'm just gonna kind of roll off some of my highs. And like I said, it's also just it's whatever you want to do, how many you think is good, but I'm going to roll off until I feel like it sounds a little bit better. Right there. I'm going to clean up some of the low end now. Same way. Just a little bit, just kind of clean up some of the low end with a low pass filter, with a high pass filter. And now I'm just gonna add some body into my mix. So I'm gonna find out where the B frequencies. That's one thing I like about this EQ, because that should show you the frequencies that are more prominent. But I still use my ears because your eyes will play tricks on you. If you ever optical illusions, same thing. So I'm just gonna add some, kind of punch to my kick drum. So that's what the punch is. And then I'm going to bring it down. I don't want to add too many dB. So I'm going to add about, let's see, hold shift and bring it down. We're going to do about 2 dB. And then we're gonna make sure it's a kind of a wide Q, so just make it a little wider to make it sound natural. Make the Q a little wider. All right. And now we have before and after. Pretty good. Now, yeah, that's my kick sound. So let's listen to the processed and unprocessed version of this kick drum. So we have unprocessed, processed. See the big difference? Very simple, very quick, very easy way to process your kicks and snares and everything. Now, how much time do I have? Don't want the video to be too long, but that's how you set a EQ and compressor for your drum sounds. Whether it be your percussive, whether it be snares, drums, 808s, whatever. You can also use this for vocals, snares, and everything else. Like I said, if you use that technique and use the techniques that I showed you with setting your attack and your release and your ratio and all that, you will definitely get, a different sound. Now, I will go into more detail about compressor because there is other things like knee and range and all that. Knee is basically how hard, like a hard knee is basically going to be a more aggressive compressor, and a soft knee is going to be a more gentler compressor sound, pretty much. And that's pretty much because a lot of these plugins have hard and soft knees, so that's what they are. But overall, that's the basis between setting your EQ and compressors. Like I said, it's really a listening game. You have to listen to your sound source in order to understand what you are doing. If you don't know how to set it that way, then you'll never get a good sound. So I hope this video helped everybody out. If you have any questions, please email me. Please contact me. Leave links in below. I will definitely answer as many questions as I can in the best of my ability as I can, because that's what I do. I'm Slim, aka Mr. Different, and that's what we do on this channel. So with that being said, hope y'all enjoyed this video. Please tell me if you like it, thumb it down. If you didn't like it, leave some comments below, because y'all know who I am. It's your boy Slim, aka Mr. Different. Not motivated by the money, but the like, comments, subscribes, and views. And I hope I see y'all in the next video. Have a good one.